that could say goodbye. But when I asked if something's wrong, I found I heard no sound. Oh, but your eyes, they never lie. The road we walk is long, too long, too long. Better keep on keeping on, keeping on. We were wrong, we were wrong, we were wrong. Better keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. Better keep on keeping
Oh, good evening and welcome to another Tom Talk Live. Hope you guys are doing well. We are on the cusp of Thanksgiving. Usually I do my live streams on Thursday night, but I decided since Thanksgiving's gonna be Thursday, I'd be easier maybe to do it Wednesday night. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. Hope you're having a good evening thus far. I just wanted to come on here and share a little bit about the idea of gratitude since it is Thanksgiving. I just thought I'd stay on theme with that. And I think it is such an important thing. Typically, it is something that we talk about more around this time of year, but honestly, it's something that I think is a topic that needs to be talked about more. And so I thought I would take this opportunity just to kind of discuss it a little bit. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to check in with you all and see how everybody's doing. And just, I know this time of year can sometimes be difficult, but I think it is also an opportunity for opportunity to reconnect. The idea of family, the idea of coming together, and so I wanted to have that. I was gonna, if I had more people joining me live, I was gonna do like a little Q&A and see what your guys' favorite Thanksgiving food is. So if you're watching this in the replay, then put in the comments what your favorite Thanksgiving food is. And I was thinking about this before because there's so many good options out there. Thanksgiving has always been one of my favorites. Just having that holiday, having all the good food. And so I was thinking about what if I had to pick just one thing, what would it be? And that's really hard because there's so many good options out there. But I was honestly thinking about it recently. I've really been enjoying deviled eggs. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's like traditionally a Thanksgiving thing. To me, deviled eggs have always just kind of been a, you know, whenever kind of thing. But I think it is kind of associated with Thanksgiving somewhat. But I've just really enjoyed them here lately. So put in the comments what your favorite Thanksgiving food is, what you couldn't live without. And then if you have like a special recipe maybe for that thing, like if you enjoy making it, if you have a certain version or take on a dish. I'm always looking for new and interesting recipes to try out. So yeah, put those in the comments if you get a chance to. I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about gratitude, about being thankful. Of course, it's something that we all know that we should do, right? We should be thankful for the things that we have. We should be grateful for the good things in our lives. But sometimes it's challenging, right? And I think around this time of year, it can be especially challenging. And so the kind of take I'm going with this is that we need to be thankful even when things are heavy, because a lot of times they are, right? Life is what it is, and it can be it can be very heavy at some points. And I think during the holiday season, it can be especially heavy. Even though it's a time of celebration, even though it's a time of coming together, even though it's a time of spending with family and all these positive good things, I think just by the nature of that, it can also be a time of heaviness. It can be a time of sadness. It can be just a struggle for many people, and I think for a variety of reasons. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. How can we still be thankful even when things are heavy? And so I've read different books, I've talked to different people, and kind of have my own thoughts on this that I wanted to share. I've kind of pulled it all together into just a few talking points that I wanted to share with you about this, because I do think it is so important for us to learn to be thankful even in the midst of heaviness, even in the midst of difficult and challenging times in our lives. And so let's go ahead and jump into that. So my first point that I want to bring out is that gratitude and heaviness can coexist. And I'm using the term heaviness, right, just as kind of a catch-all for those negative emotions, right? Just kind of the heaviness of feeling down, of feeling sad, of all those things. I'm kind of capturing with that idea of heaviness. So gratitude and heaviness can coexist, right? Meaning that we are capable as human beings of holding more than one emotion at a time, right? We're not just either happy or sad or joyful or depressed, or we're not just one thing. We can hold more than one thing at once. And in fact, it's good for us to be able to do so. It's good for us to be able to acknowledge that there's more than one thing going on within us at a time. Because often there is. Often we are feeling a multitude of feelings. And sometimes it's a lot of different feelings, right? And that can be challenging to kind of process through that and sift through what exactly are we feeling. But it's good just at first to acknowledge that, right? To acknowledge that we can feel more than one thing. That, yes, we know this is Thanksgiving. Yes, we know there are things that we are grateful for, but we can also feel a heaviness at the same time. And especially if this has been a hard year for you. I don't know what you've had going on in your life. Maybe there's been challenges along the way. Maybe that's been an especially heavy year for you. And so you're feeling maybe bad for some reason about feeling that way during the holidays. And you shouldn't, because that's just how life is sometimes. But you can still find things to be thankful for, even in the midst of that heaviness. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. Gratitude doesn't erase those things. It doesn't cancel it out, right? We can hold them both at the same time. We can be grateful and sad. We can feel connected and anxious. We can be joyful and feel vulnerable, right? We can feel all these things simultaneously, and they can coexist within us. And why is that important? It's important because I think it's good to acknowledge that. And even beyond acknowledging it, it's good to express that, right? To even name it. I think we do so much better in our emotional state, in our kind of inner life, when we're able to identify those feelings. And I know that's especially true for me. And sometimes I struggle with that, right? I struggle with being able to really identify what I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling different ways, and I'm not sure. And then if I can't identify it, then that kind of adds another layer of like frustration to it all, because I don't really know what all of it is. It's just kind of all this turmoil within me, right? And that's not a fun feeling. But when we start to look within, when we start to really kind of identify, hey, these are some of the things that I'm feeling, and this is where it's coming from, that really gives us, I think, a sense of control and a sense of peace almost, right? When we're able to better understand the things that are going on within us, right? To be more in touch with ourselves. Kim says, gratitude doesn't erase the heaviness, but it can lighten it. I like that. Yeah, I think it does too, right? Gratitude can be a good balance to it, especially when we're feeling that heaviness that comes along. And I think I'm going to get into this in a minute. But also, like, it's not good to try to fake things, right? To try to fake being happy, to try to fake being joyful, just because you feel like you're supposed to feel that way, right? I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself with that point, but um, the main idea is that, right? Like, we need to understand that there's multiple things going on within us. So it's okay to have those both and statements, right? I feel both of these ways, right? I feel multiple ways at once, and I can hold those and be okay. Next, we're going to talk about practice presence, not perfection. And this is a good one, right? Practicing presence, it's not about perfection. And I think this is especially true around the holidays. And for some of us, maybe more than others, where you just have a lot going on. You have events, you have gatherings, things going on where you have things that you want to go a certain way, right? Maybe it's a big family dinner. You have a lot of people coming over. Maybe it's a church Christmas party, right? Whatever it is, we have these different events going on during the holiday season. And we get this kind of feeling like, oh, it's got to go well. It's got to run smoothly. We don't want to have anybody that's just going to be a downer, right? We just want it all to be good. We want it all to be perfect. And we miss out on being actually present and being there in the moment with our loved ones when we're trying to make sure that everything is perfect. And this is really where this idea of faking it comes in, right? Where we're trying to pretend that everything's fine. We're trying to pretend that we're happy and everything's, there's no heaviness there at all. And that really makes it worse, right? Like if we're honest with ourselves, I think it makes it heavier, right? It makes it worse when we're trying to put on a happy face for the holidays because we don't want to ruin anybody else's. Now, I'm not just saying like go in there and be a curmudgeon just to be one, right? But I am saying that it's okay that you are being honest with how you're feeling, right? Especially with yourself, right? Don't feel like you have to put on a facade. Um, and obviously, it's going to be different in different family dynamics, but I believe that the more honest we can be with ourselves and those that we love, the better off those relationships are going to be, both within ourselves and with others. And so maybe we need to practice a couple different things in order to better be present. I think having a pause is really good. If you're about to have a big gathering or if you're just feeling especially anxious, right? Having a moment to stop what you're doing, to pause, to reflect on the situation, to reflect on the things that are both bringing sadness or heaviness, and reflect on the things that are bringing joy, the things that you're thankful for, right? I think acknowledging those things in that moment helps you to be present during those times. And then even identifying what those things are. So if there is like, a loved one who passed, right? Acknowledging that instead of pretending like nothing's wrong, instead of pretending like they aren't really there, you can actually identify that, right? You can name it out and acknowledge that together as a family. And I think that's better, right? I think that's healthier when we're able to acknowledge the good things and the things that we're sad about, right? Let's go into the next one here. Let joy in even when it feels scary. I think this is really good for us to talk about because this is one of those things that I realized I was doing even though I didn't have a name for it, right? Letting joy in even when it feels scary. What about joy is scary, right? That almost doesn't make sense on its face, right? Why would there be anything scary about joy? But it is. It is when we think about it going away, right? And I've heard it referred to as foreboding joy. Foreboding joy, right? We're feeling joy, but there's like this nagging in the back of our mind of, well, what if it goes away? What if I lose it, right? And just to be perfectly vulnerable with you right now, I'll share a little bit about myself, and this goes back to my childhood of this same feeling of this foreboding joy, um, where my parents were divorced when I was very young and separated. And I remember being able to go see my dad, right? I lived primarily with my mother, and I would get to go visit my dad. And I was always excited to go, but there's always a sadness there too, right? A sadness in going to visit him, not because I was sad to see him, because I was already anticipating that I was also going to have to say goodbye and leave again. So even though I was saying hello and we were beginning our visit together, and I was happy about that, in the back of my mind, I was already mourning that loss. I was already feeling sad about getting through that and already to the point where I was saying goodbye. And so it'd be easy to um, allow that sadness, allow that kind of fear of what if I lose it, right, to ruin the moment that we're in. So let me know if that's something that you've ever felt before. Have you ever felt that way where you're happy about a situation, you're feeling joy, but you're almost not able to fully appreciate it. You're almost not able to fully be in it because you're afraid that you're going to lose it, right? I think that's something that can be a common feeling for many of us. So what do we do about that? What do we do with that foreboding joy? I think that's where gratitude comes in. That's where the idea of being thankful comes in. Because the idea of being thankful is we're in the moment and we're grateful for what we have. Yeah, we don't know the future, but here's the thing, you can't avoid pain by anticipating it, right? You can't think, oh, well, if I think about what it's going to be like to lose this, then I'll be prepared, right? We don't like the idea of being blindsided by something, right? So we try to think about, well, what if this happened? How would I feel? What would I do? But the thing is, we're just really torturing ourselves about something that hasn't happened, that might not ever happen. And even if it did happen, it would still be painful, right? We're not really preventing that pain from coming, right? We're just bringing that pain on and allowing it to spoil the present joy that we're getting to experience. So why catastrophize it, right? Why ruin the joy that we're in now on the possibility that we might lose it? And rather accepting the idea that, yeah, it might not be permanent, right? It might be temporary, but that doesn't mean that it's not real now. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be fully present, fully enjoying the joy that we're getting to have now. And so I'm not sure how that applies to you in your situation, but think about how it might. Think about the way in which you are experiencing joy in your life. And is it something that you're allowing fear of the future, right? Fear of what might happen, ruin the present joy that you're feeling? If this is something that resonates with you, do please let me know. I'd be interested to hear about that and to know if this is something that you struggle with, because it's definitely been something that I've struggled with in my life and that I've been working on getting better at. So let's talk about some tools that help. So, what are some daily practices, some daily things that you can do that might help you with this? I'm going to give you 4 different practices to try out. First is going with that first point we were talking about, that you can feel more than one thing at once. And so try to identify what that is, right? So if you are going through your day and you're noticed you're kind of wrestling with some different feelings and feeling some heaviness from some complicated, complex feelings, take a moment to name what those are, right? Maybe I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I'm also grateful for the support, right? So maybe you're planning for something and you're excited to have family over, but you're also feeling anxious and overwhelmed with all the planning and all the things that have to happen, right? And so that's okay. It's good to name those things, it's good to identify them. And so if we can do that more often, I think it helps us to be able to process through that. So that's a daily practice you can try. Another one is just being grateful, having gratitude in the small things, right? Finding the little things in life that you can be grateful for. And sometimes we forget those things. We miss those things. We miss the small things. And that's really what life is made of. You know, we tend to think of things in big events and big moments, those big milestones and things in our lives, but really most of the time, most of our days are not those things, right? Are not those big moments, not those big milestones. And so we miss out when we don't realize, hey, there are even those small moments in the day that I can be present, that I can appreciate, that I can be grateful for. And so I would challenge you to find those moments in your everyday life. Maybe it's just being able to go for a walk and enjoying nature. Maybe it's just spending a moment with a loved one, right? So there's different ways that we can look for those moments to be grateful for. And kind of going with that, I think leaning into connection is important, especially around the holidays. Um, and remember, we're not about trying to be perfect, but rather being present. So taking those opportunities to spend time with loved ones, I think is so important. And maybe there's loved ones that we're not able to spend time with anymore, or just for this season, for whatever reason, right? But reaching out, finding those connections, finding those people that you can lean into with. It says, I'm grateful that all the animals are asleep so that I can focus on you right now. Yes, I appreciate that. Always things to be grateful for, right? Absolutely. And then the last one is embracing vulnerability. And this too is one that I've struggled with, embracing vulnerability. So allowing yourself to feel joy without having to rehearse disaster. And I like the phrasing of that, without having to rehearse disaster. Because I've been guilty of this, right? I definitely do this where I think, oh, what if this is happening? What if this is going to happen? What if this is going to, like, I rehearse it and play it through like it's something that happened, and experiencing the emotions that would go with that thing. And it's not fun, right? It's not fun to do that. And it does spoil the moment. And so just kind of allowing yourself to be vulnerable, not feeling like you have to prepare yourself for a disaster, right? Just allowing yourself to be in the moment and not worrying about the future. Now, it's easier said than done, and it does take, I think, a bit of intentionality and practice to do, but it helps, right? It helps us to actually get to experience the joys that we have, so that we're not ruining them for something that might not ever happen. So I hope these things are helpful. I really think being grateful is the antidote for so many things in life. It is the thing that will bring resilience. It will be the thing that gives us peace. It will be the thing that gives us joy. And so, the more things that we can find in our lives to be grateful for, I believe it will truly benefit us in the long run. So, if you got something out of this, let me know. And I'm interested to know, what's the thing that you're grateful for? What is one thing? Put in the comments one thing that you are especially grateful for this year. And I'll see you guys in the next one.